fans, welcome to this week's edition of the Upper Deck. Happy Sunday, hopefully fun day. With me today is not Chris Northrup. This is Bobby Tats, who is the head of our Pinstripe Chronicles family. So happy to have you, Tats. What's going on?
Things are going really well, Lynn. Thanks for asking me to kind of jump in and take Chris's spot. I got some big shoes to fill.
No, your shoes are your own, and just thank you so much for being here. So we had a really good week rolling until last night. So let's kick it off by talking about last night and just get it off our chests.
That's nice.
Clearly we're not going for the sweep. We're hoping for the rubber game win today, but what a remarkable game last night. What an unnecessary 11 innings. What was your overall take, Tats, on the game? What were your takeaways?
The offense kind of slid back into a place that we thought we were over with. I was starting to see a lot out of the offense that shown that things were clicking again, and the upside, the positive to last night was the pitching.
Yeah.
As Domingo Herman has just been, I would say, surprisingly good.
Yes.
We didn't know what we were going to get out of him, and I just think that he has really just put everything behind him and is just focusing on his craft. And he's been pitching very well for us.
Yeah. And I'd say last night was his best one yet. He was throwing a no-hitter through 6 innings.
Yep.
Before they took him out. And so feeling very optimistic about him. And before I go any further, can I just stop for a minute and give a shout out to my nephew, Phil? Because I usually don't wear swag this big, this obvious. But thanks, Phil. I told you, I love it. I feel hip. And here it is, proud to wear it. So that's the reason for the double logo. And I'm in love with it. I know it's not my usual style, but I'm cool, ready to rap, whatever. So the other half, Tats, of the pitching last night was from Aller, who was a surprise, and sort of like how we think going in, rookies, ERA over 6, 2 for 4, and he was lights out. So that was a big contribution to our offense just really not producing.
No, and I think it's hard to balance where it was a rookie pitcher just looking at an opponent and just being on his game and pitching very well to a very tough lineup, or a really tough lineup that kind of underperformed and took their foot off the gas a little bit because they figured it was a rookie pitcher, easy game. That's one of those things in baseball that becomes very confusing. And as it used to be in the old days, they don't have the book on the pitcher yet, and with all the analytics that you get now, that kind of philosophy and mentality is out the window. Right. So the Yankees should have been very well prepared on how to navigate through what he could throw. And the way it sounded was he's got like 5 or 6 pitches from the way they were talking on the radio last night to he was really only throwing 2 dominant pitches. They should have been able to time up on them a lot easier than they were not able to.
Right. And saw something interesting on MLB.com from Sonia Chen. And it's not the good kind of interesting. It's not the interesting you want. But last night's game was the first time that the Yankees went straight through the order all 9 innings. 27 batters to the plate through the 9 innings. The last time that was done was September 1997. And it's only the sixth time in franchise history that we've gone through 27 men consecutively.
Yeah, that's a very sad stat.
As Gerard
Um,
would say,
I
it's not what you want.
no, it's not what you want. But there is one. If there was one positive out of another thing out of the players last night is the defense, and the defense has really tightened up, and I think that goes to credit to Oswaldo Cabrera. What if I could throw the question at you? This is kind of your show, but I'm gonna. I
Our
do have a couple
show,
of questions.
same family.
Um, what has been your takeaways from watching Oswaldo Cabrera in his first week in baseball?
So, we kept hearing about Cabrera, and how good he's doing down in AAA. I certainly didn't expect him to be the one called up because it's been Volpe, Peraza, and here comes this Cabrera kid up. But he had me at hello. To have such a streamless transition, and he's so poised. He's playing, as he was in AAA with that level of comfortability. So right off the bat, no pun intended, he stepped in like a Yankee, like a big like Yankee. He was ready for the show, and there he was, and he showed up. In fact, case in point, last night he was the only actual hit um, in the late innings. Everyone else got on base with the errors, with the defensive errors from the A's or through walks. So no, I think his bat is going to continue to light up. But his fielding in particular is remarkable, and it's clear that he's going to be another utility guy. You could just plop him anywhere on the field, it seems, and he's gonna be lights out.
Yeah. So your partner in crime has given us a little hello here, and hi Chris, glad you're
Hey,
enjoying
Chris.
your enjoy your off day.
Yeah.
We look forward to hearing you again next week and later on. But yeah, Oswaldo has been one of those guys that you were hearing a lot about, but wasn't at the top of the pecking order.
Right.
And Donald, from our weekly show, for those of you weekend warriors that don't know, he has been screaming about having Cabrera being called up since the off season. He's been very high on Cabrera, and he's feeling like $1,000,000 how right he was, rightfully so.
Yeah.
So
Maybe he could tell my future. I'll have to give him a
yeah,
call.
right. Yeah, I've been trying to get him to tell me mine, and it's not looking too good. But so now, before we get into a lot more of the weekly highlights, there's one more question I have for you about last night, and that is about our starting pitcher Domingo Herman. Now, as his past is noted and known very well, and as disgraceful as his actions were, how do you, from a female's perspective, all right, this is where it gets a little tough. How is it hard to root for a guy like that when he's contributing so much, but he's very hard to get behind and support? How do you balance that?
Oh boy, you don't know the can of worms you just opened up, Ted. um, Really not so. It is a difficult question because it's a double-edged sword. Not only am I a woman, but I'm also a trained domestic violence advocate.
Okay.
Who's worked with domestic violence victims. So that's a big piece of me and a big piece of my value system and my makeup. But and the same with Chappie. He's another one.
Yeah.
And I was very vocal about this when when Herman, came back from his long stint on the IL, and when Chapman's story came to light. Um, but at the end of the day, I feel true. You there's things in life you have to learn how to compartmentalize, and um, there just because I know about these two offenses, there could be, God forbid, others that I'm rooting for with all my heart. And so if you're a Yankee, if you're wearing the pinstripes to me and you're performing, then I'll give you, the support and the props. I try to treat them like any other player. Is it always back of mind? Absolutely. But the good news is, if anything else was going on, we know. And so I'm also trying to give them the grace that maybe things have turned around, and everyone, has an opportunity to learn from their lessons, from their mistakes. So um, I'm a Yankee fan. My personal life, my personal other ventures are parallel. So I'm going to report on them with enthusiasm, like I just did for Herman last night,
Mm-hmm.
and just respect them if they respect the team and the game.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult. It really, especially as someone like me, I've always been very protective of, my wife and my mom and my sister, my sister-in-laws. You know, when you hear about situations like that, and it's like, all right, now I have to root for this guy because I'm not gonna want him to fail because that's gonna set 25 other people back, and make them look bad.
Right.
So when it comes to a team sport, but there's also a thing where everybody has the right to redeem themselves, and I think in time, they say time heals all wounds, but you don't forget your scars. So I think that's what Domingo's going to have to deal with for the rest of his career is that scar of what happened, even though it might be all healed up and he has been, a respectable citizen. So that's going to come in time. But I've been very curious, and I wanted to ask you use that question for a long time. So I'm glad I was able to get the opportunity. Being he pitched last night, it was in the forefront of my mind.
I appreciate you bringing it because, as you know, and anyone that watches us on the regular knows, Chris and I are here for all fans, but we're also one of the few women only podcasts out there for
Yeah.
Yankees, and so there's that philosophy behind all this. So women's issues are very important, and so I appreciate the space for that. I'm glad I was ready for the question.
Yeah, I told you there was going to be one that I wasn't going to tell you in advance. But all right, so let's go back to. I want to get to some of the highlights from the week. So, what was your perspective of before going into last night's game? What was your high and or your low about how they were playing?
Well, obviously, the redemption with the Subway Series was the high. Um, the other high of that was I got to go to sleep at the usual time, but I was very happy with what we were doing defensively and offensively together. They both came together, and I was also very pleased to see Benintendi really light up offensively this week rather. And I think we were waiting for it for just a minute, but now we're getting both of the reasons why he's here, and he's been just outstanding out in the outfield as well. My low is clearly last night. Um, I thought that the first two games of the series, yeah, three games of the series, it's that Sunday morning. Where's my caffeine moment? Um, the first two were great. Last night's was a horror show, disappointing. And as usual, those extra innings that you're going into, you just came out of an advantage, and here you are, and you end up losing with a walk off. Um, I thought it was interesting, Tats. How about you? The anticlimactic ending, though, when the A's rushed the field like they won the World Series, and there's Boone going headphones. What do you think of that whole thing?
It the instant replay at the for the last play, it really becomes anticlimactic.
Yeah,
But at the same time, if it works in your favor, then no harm, no foul. And the game continues. So, you want to get the calls right. It can't always be timed perfectly of when the calls are held up or overturned. So it was good. They've been struggling. Their fans have had nothing to cheer for. So they got they were able to sneak one out from us. Good for them.
so you're welcome, Oakland.
I'm not worried about it's not like now we have to worry about Oakland catching fire after it.
Right.
And making it an issue or a headache in the American League runnings.
Yeah.
They're playing a game at a level that I couldn't play, so I don't want to say that they're irrelevant, but they kind of are. They're an irrelevant franchise.
Right.
So
it's a team of basically rookies.
But that's what it is, and that's what a lot of people sometimes I think forget is, and I've said this on our shows a lot. The best teams in baseball are going to lose 60 games. The worst teams are going to win 60 games. You don't know when those wins and losses are going to come.
Right.
You just have to, it's 162 games is a long stretch, and as sloppy as that game was from both sides. I mean, when you're not even putting runners on, you can't even get a hit. We're not talking about, the, top line pitching last night. It's you weren't facing, it wasn't Garrett Cole and facing DeGrom. So it's not like you have two high profile aces just going at it and just having the offensive number. I think just both offenses last night were just terrible. It was a terrible display of offense.
Absolutely, and so. You could look at it two ways. Was the offense bad because the pitching was so, on fire, or does the pitching look especially good because the bats are so cold?
Yeah, no, and that was one of the questions, how we opened up the show today.
Right.
But that's really what it comes down to, and it becomes very tricky. That the pitcher for the A's last night may never have a game like that again in his career. You don't know. It could be a future ace on a staff that figured it out.
100%.
So that's where that balance of you have good teams, you have bad teams, you have terrible teams and phenomenal teams. The phenomenal teams will win tonight after a loss like that.
Yeah.
And that's what the Yankees need to do. They need to focus right now on winning the series.
Yep. And tonight we have Schmidt on the hill. So, hoping to see good things out of him. I missed one of my lows, Tats. One of my other lows is that we lost a big opportunity last night with the Jays, Rays, and Astros all losing.
Oh, I know.
And so the Rays got a little bit edge up on us, but all of those are going to hurt and matter. We could look at that 8.5 up, and I say this every week. It's probably boring at this point, but it might as well be a half game up.
Yeah, no, it's the division I'm not too concerned about. I think there are teams that can give us a run for our money, but as long as I think if the calendar turns over in September, which is a couple days away, but so for argument's sake, let's just say within the next week, if the Yankees still have, a 7, 8 or more game lead, I'm not concerned about who's going to catch us. It's my concern right now would be making sure that at the end of the going into October that everybody's healthy, and that's where that would be my focus as a fan, not who's behind us, but what teams are going to be in front of us for the postseason.
That's right, and it's been rough on the bullpen. It's been rough on the field. We just got Stanton back. I'd love your take on him in a second. We have Carpenter out through mid-September if we're lucky. Booty Bader, who knows at this point? Really no definitive even estimate there that I've heard. And and then we have not so much of a worry, but we have Trevino day to day. Because of a toe getting hit by a pitch. And so will we see him, catching today? I don't know. There's a difference we all know between Higgy and Trevino.
Yeah.
But what's your take on all of those injuries, Chats, and along with the bullpen as well?
As far as the injuries, the one plus is that you started with was Stanton coming back, and I think what that did was it kind of solidified the lineup, and it gave that that power protection against for Judge, where Judge is now going to be able to get a lot more pitches that he could do barrel up, which we saw. He's got 49 now.
Yes,
everybody paying attention to the chase, so. And I think having Stanton in that lineup, like we've been saying, like we've been talking about, is that was the only way that they were going to start pitching to Judge again. Because you notice they were starting to pitch around him. They were pitching on the corners, hoping that he would chase and miss. So Stanton coming back from the IL is very key. If and when we get Carpenter back. Because as optimistic as he is that he's going to be able to play again, it's still very unclear of how he's going to heal.
Right.
There's not much of a track record on him, with injury. So it's not like some guys like Stanton. If they say that he's taking they're giving him a day off because he has a cold, he's going to be out for a month. So. We already know that with Stanton, it always escalates.
Case in point, he had a rest day already yesterday.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
With Carpenter, we don't know. It's very unclear. So I'm hoping he comes back, but also at the same time, it's like, okay, what cog in the wheel goes away to make room for him? Because as much as we want to have some of these key guys back, as long as they come back, and Cabrera stays in the everyday lineup and is an everyday position player, I'm fine. When Carpenter comes back, is that going to be it for Marvin Gonzalez? Who's a player that we can't figure out how he's been able to maintain his position in the lineup.
Yeah.
We're not, not that he's a terrible player. We're just not a fan of him.
He's not.
We don't think he's that key of a contributor.
No.
To maintain on the, he's not going to be on the postseason roster. That's a given.
Right.
So now going to the bullpen, we had, Britton coming back, which is a plus, but he hasn't pitched in a while. So you don't know. I think we need to have his first few starts in the rotation in the bullpen. I think they need to be very cautious. Low leverage, situations. Let him get his timing back and his release points. Because if he's not effective and he's leaving it over, the lower part of the plate, he's just going to get, he's gonna get lit up. So put him in low leverage situations that he can really focus on his release point and get his confidence back up, and then put him back into a later inning role.
Yeah.
Marinaccio, not Marinaccio. Yeah, Holmes coming back tonight. King going out for the season. Chad Green being down for the season really threw a hiccup into everything. Loizaga struggling, having to go on the IL. He's coming back.
Yep. Last night.
Chapman, the bullpen, which was supposed to be and is always pretty much always our strength, is now starting to look like a weakness for us.
Yeah.
There's so many question marks.
Yeah.
And when you had when Holmes was dealing, which when he comes back, we hope that he's right at everything is good. Because when he was struggling the way he was, it was almost like, what's wrong with him?
Right.
Is anybody check? Send him for an MRI or a CAT scan just for the hell of it, because you need him.
You do.
Now, it'd be neglective of me being known as everybody calls me Tats, not to discuss this new IL stint with Chapman.
Yes.
So supposedly he's got an infection from a tattoo. I've been there. I've had that. It is not fun. I got a tattoo on my leg. It got infected. I couldn't walk for 2 months. I could have put pressure on my leg. So it's very possible that a tattoo can, really throw you. It's not fun at all.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I'm sympathetic. I hope he, heals fast. However, especially if you research, even if it was his first tattoo, research the risks. Why the hell would you do something to your body on a key part of your body for your role in the middle of a chase of a season?
See, now there's my issue with it. All right, pick and choose when you get your work done. All right, I'm very picky. I don't do anything during fishing season because if salt water hits it, it's going to burn. So, it's salt on a wound. There's off seasons. You have plenty of time to sit and heal. Put your feet up. And you want to come back. With your whole body covered, knock yourself out. But when you're on the clock, you can't. You got to be a little. Use better judgment.
Yeah, think like a professional.
Yeah,
and a teammate. And think about the situation the bullpen's already in. And they did call up another AAA bullpen arm with Weissert. I'm hoping to see something, from him to get a feel for him while we have this bit of a shortage.
Yeah, his first outing, he wasn't completely dominant, but it was I think it was his rookie nerves. His first outing jitters. Yeah. But he's one of those pitchers that he is almost like Holmes. He's high ground ball rate. He's got a very deceptive delivery. He's going to be just fine.
Right. I'm excited to see more of him. Yeah. Because I think we're gonna need as many as we can at our beck and call. So I see we're about at the point where we're gonna wind down. Hopefully we'll get that rubber game win today, and then we're facing the Angels, and we hope that we clip those wings of it this week with the 3 games against them. It's time for a trivia question of the week. And so here it is. In December 2002, free agent pitcher Jose Contreras was a defector from Cuba. He announced that he would entertain contract offers from all major league teams. Only the Yankees and the Red Sox were interested in signing him. What extraordinary measures did the Red Sox go to in an attempt to beat out the Yankees in signing Contreras? So that's the question of the week. Not so cut and dried. I'm not asking you to pick up which player it was or which year it was. It's
that's very
great question, just dripping with Red Sox Yankees rivalry fodder. So would really love, without the Googling, you all know this, Scouts honor, no lifelines, no phone a friend. Um, so I just want to thank Tats again, show my swag one more time. It's heavy, but it's here. Tats, thank you so much for being here. And for all of you, just remember every Sunday, you have a reserved seat right here on the upper deck. So let's go Yankees.